Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. The 7th of July. Today we've got FOMC meeting minutes today, so that should be really interesting. But I think that for now we are still reeling. Let's see here. Is my everything still loading here? Let's close that one. Some of my data is still loading up here, but. Okay, so E-mini yesterday, pretty big dip while we were trading, but look at this, just all completely retraced. You know, I came in here and I said, remember yesterday, the incorrect call that I made yesterday was, well, I think there's a strong reason for this to have moved the treasuries, but the case for it to move equities isn't quite as strong. So maybe the downside is limited. That ended up being the wrong call because it did end up just really plummeting, right? But then it retraced. So that decline may have just been positioning, you know, the context around being around the holiday, things like that. All right. So retraced quite a bit. You come over into the treasuries, though, it extends even further. I mean, that was a big move up there. And now we're at 133.19 half. We have to go back to like a daily chart to start looking at, you know. Okay, so like 133.23 half or so is like a pretty big pivot. That is not that far away. That is not that far away. And here on the open, I'm seeing for fairly decent amount of buying. Now, I think there is some reason to perhaps be a little bit more constrained in the treasuries today because we do have the meeting minutes coming out at noon Eastern time. So coming back over here, oil was up and then down. Like the OPEC thing is still kind of like oh wait, do I need to reset something? Do I need to do some database now? I don't know. It looks like I'm missing some data, but oil was up, but then they've taken a pretty big dip. I mean, it sounds like everybody is talking like they're gonna get a deal somehow, but like I don't know. I'm pessimistic at the moment, but that's probably much more likely to work out than I'm thinking. So now, when we get into gold and silver are doing okay today. So yesterday they dropped back hard, but now they are retracing that. So I think that's pretty good for the gold and silver trade. Copper taking a bit of a dive. So China has been releasing reserves. They have like copper and zinc reserves and stuff, and they released some of their reserves, which is like really bizarre to me. I thought you would only do that in an emergency, but I digress. That's what they're doing. Here in the dollar, pretty strong move up in the dollar yesterday. Pretty quiet overnight, but we are on the bearish side for now. So I guess that's good for equity markets, though. We'll come back over to here. Make sure we get everything all set up nice and tidy. Got the text-to-speech going. How are you guys? Probably a little quieter today, huh? And let's see here. Only got that one account going. Yeah. Can't turn on my robot yet. I did. I decided to do another little test yesterday to see what it would do if I tried to trade outside of combine times. And it was funny because it lets you take it, but then 2 minutes later it takes you out of it. I was like, okay. Why don't you just stop me? Of course they're not going to do that. Anyways, so I'm waiting for that to get reset. So no robots for now. Let's see here. What else? Oh my gosh. I remember yesterday I responded to one of the Chinese propagandists on Twitter, and like the Wu Mao army came after me, man. Like all of the Chinese commenters coming in, and some of their comments are like really dumb too. It's okay that you didn't have the capability of reading, for instance, is one of the comments that they read to me. And none of the responses seemed to understand the point that I was making too. Was like, yeah, see, these are all just ad hominem attacks. There's a bunch of Chinese responses that I don't know what they're saying. I haven't bothered to go and translate them. You should pass again your English comprehension exam. It is like to be expired. I think what they're doing is they're tweeting something in Chinese and then going and using Google Translate. I like that they still call their internet users netizens. Well, my understanding is that unless their user is using like a VPN, that the Chinese users are unlikely to be directly speaking to me on Twitter, and that a lot of this propaganda and stuff is actually geared more towards Chinese nationals living abroad and so forth. So I was really, how do I say, yeah, Wu Mao, yeah, exactly. So I made a post on, there's a subreddit for this stuff, and I asked, like, is this like actually considered effective? And I got a lot of interesting responses, but the one thing that people did seem to agree on is that the audience for this stuff is much more domestic and Chinese nationals. But a lot of people were saying, well, it does seem like people are starting to parrot the propaganda lines more and more. The more you think about it, the more Twitter really is a minefield for foreign intelligence and psychological operations. Well, it seems to me that the things that really attracted us to social media in the beginning have essentially been eliminated by people gaming social media, for sure. Like when it started, like the place where I initially really started to see social media as being like beneficial was like on Slashdot, right? Like if something got posted on Slashdot and it had a lot of engagement with it, then you knew it was a good story, right? And then they moved to Dig, and then Dig really proved it out, because Dig was like, they combined the social media. Man, these treasuries are just going, I'm sitting here like, should I just be buying into this? I probably could have bought 22 there. I'm not really getting like anything that tells me like I have a good spot, so I'm not quite sure what to do about this. It's kind of the same conundrum that we were in yesterday, And yesterday we said, well, okay, I think that there's a large meta order coming in, and here's a break, so we should get in on it. Today, I'm not so sure about that. So this does look like this might be a break spot. It's hard to buy the high, right? Well, there with the way that it was trading at 22, if I had been a little bit faster, like I knew that it wasn't even worth trying because it was going to tick before but I was thinking, well, I could probably get one tick. But like, if I was going to take it for that, I think that I would need to get more of a trade like I did yesterday, where I got like 48, you know? Anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, Dig really came in and had like the algorithms. And I have to say, screens, you're right. It's so annoying. Okay, hold on, let's fix this. Okay. It fixes that. So does that mean that I went through all of the charts with the wrong screen too? Oh, no. We're okay on charts. Huh. So anyways, there you go. Came back. See, I made the right choice. 22 would have been okay, but the rest of it was sketchy. Anyways, Dig was where they really like made use of like algorithms beyond just like, is it popular? I don't think that anybody really ever outdid the Dig algorithm, because the thing that was special about the Dig algorithm was that in order for something to go viral, it didn't just have to be popular. It had to be popular amongst a wide array of users. Like the people that were in completely different networks were upvoting it. And for the most part, I felt that the content that came up on Dig was much more reflective of the user base as a whole, and was much less charged. But people started to game that. Like, that's when it really started. That's when it started to irk me, was people would game the Dig algorithm, and then all of a sudden it was like the Huffington Post would be on the front page every freaking day, and it was annoying it as AF. And then Facebook came along, Twitter and Facebook came along. And you know what? Twitter was always a cesspool to me. Twitter's always had like a really strange ideological bent. But then, Facebook came along and people started applying all that stuff to Facebook. And it's like the thing that was cool about it, which was that it was more likely to show me the best content. It doesn't really do that anymore, does it? Like, honestly, is there really best content on the internet anymore, Like, after Dig disappeared and everything moved to Reddit, how often are people linking you to a unique website that you haven't visited before? Or, a piece of news from an outlet that you're not familiar with? It doesn't happen anymore. Everything is in these gated communities now on the internet, and people very rarely do they venture outside of Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And when you're inside of those places, you have to be really cautious about the information that you're getting, because it is so ridiculously manipulated. So you're right. They kind of ruin social media. And I find myself more and more interested in things that seem to require the presence of an individual, like streaming here, or like I've been playing Overwatch a lot and people are starting to talk to me in game, so something where there's like real people there instead of robots. Anyways, the whole experience yesterday with the Wu Mao was interesting, to say the least. The thing that I thought was funny about it is that my tweet is basically pointing out that inside their propaganda image, they aren't actually refuting the criticisms in there. Like the criticism is like, you guys are committing genocide, and then the image will say genocide is actually really good for minorities. You know, like that's like what it was reading like. They weren't refuting the points that were being made, right? And then you go and you look at the Wu Mao responses to my tweet. They're all either ad hominem attacks or like redirection, right? Like there's a bunch of these that were like, well, yeah, but in the United States, you guys killed Indians in the past. It's like, okay, yeah, but I'm not. That is completely irrelevant to what's going on in China. Has absolutely no bearing. I mean, if you want to argue about that, because I'm not responsible for that sort of stuff, so why would you want to talk to me about that? It's not relevant, you know. And that was all. Like, I don't think that I got a single response that wasn't along the lines of, well, Americans did something bad in the past, or you're stupid and you just can't read. That's all the responses. And then you have to wonder, like, okay, is that organic? Okay, well, so we're already getting pattern here in the Treasury that very, very, very much reminds me of what happened yesterday. Pretty strong move up, and then it came back a good 4 ticks after showing some absorption. And now we're like right back up there. I don't know if it's just the context of the day that has me pessimistic, but I just do not see it the same. Also, one thing that I should know is that yesterday, like all 3 of them were decidedly pointed up. Today, I am seeing that the 5 and the 10 are pretty much bid, but the 30-year has some selling in it. So, and when I look at my spread charts, I see flattening, which if they're buying the 5 and they're selling the 30, that is not flattening. That is steepening. So there could be some mean reversion coming into the spreads here, or at least somebody trying to fade the spread. News Squawk has retweeted this image. It is a gravestone that says Bond Vigilantes 2021. We never had a chance. It really is. Isn't it so weird, Uzi? How quickly this just like flipped on its head. Like, when was it? March? Yep, it was in March. We were like, are the bond vigilantes going to come back? We're going to get inflation. People need to raise rates. And gold and silver were doing horrible because the rates kept raising, even though there was concerns about inflation. And now that whole thing has moved. We're moving back into the January, February price levels. But then, surprisingly, gold and silver aren't really all that... still aren't doing all that well. He says yes. Another trend day up sees resistance Eurobond 174.29 CLVN. Well, the 10 year snapped back there pretty hard. So this, maybe we're in an area where if I really saw a dislocation, I could try and take a tick. But I don't know. The Marketeer tweets work from home is officially in a bear market. There's definitely like a lot of spreading going on, so there might be some opportunities for us, but at the moment it's kind of like against the trends. It's like, I don't know, do you really want to buy it? Oh, I guess maybe if you'd gotten filled at 20, you would have gotten out. Their distribution is definitely there at 20.5. That was from before though, wasn't it? No. Oh, actually, no, not really. That's really started more since we've started trading. But 2020 has been like the bottom, so maybe a bid there would have been an okay idea. I'm probably going to be a little overly cautious today because we don't really have any big news to speak of this morning. We have the FOMC minutes. And yesterday was a pretty big day, so probably what we're likely to get is more like mean reversion type behavior, which can be just really cluttered and confusing. So I should try to be more selective today. Fitch Ratings says there are several paths to higher than expected U.S. interest rates. There are several credible paths to faster than anticipated increase in U.S. interest rates, including increased inflation expectations, a surprisingly swift job market recovery, and a bigger boost to yields from tapering, according to Fitch's Ratings' latest economics dashboard. Furthermore, there is a risk that Fed policy could need to move to a restrictive stance beyond 2023. Well, they're not wrong, but I feel like that's something that we are already kind of assuming. Gosh, this image on Twitter. See this right here. This is a little bit too much. I bet you. Well, that 5-year, it's odd that the 5-year has the 28 being low. I would probably be trying to put the bid in there. $358 stacking there. And interestingly enough, I don't really see the Japanese yen moving with all of this either. You know, one thing I'm probably missing is that even though I'm really skeptical about it going higher, there is definitely activity here in the treasuries that is above normal. Oh yeah, oil is really, really above normal. Apparently the volume in the E-mini isn't terrible either. Although that looks pretty constrained for the past 15 minutes. Ohio court rejects appeal from ex-officer who killed Tamir Rice. Another chance at 28, huh? I think if I had been sitting here at 20.5, that I wouldn't be getting filled. Maybe if I had clicked there a little earlier. You can see there, the 5 is going to tick down again. Tommy thinks if Eurobond closes below 174.29, then we'll run up to 176.13. That's a pretty big move for Eurobonds, isn't it? That would probably require a few days. Look at that. 29th in queue. Would have worked. Milliseconds matter, apparently. Well, that should have filled me right there, 50. If I was really 29th in queue. Cool. Good trade. Happy with that. Tommy says 2 to 3 weeks. Okay, yeah. That is, well, that's a pretty wide call, though, off of something that sounds like is mostly basing your call on technicals. Hope you're doing well today. I'm doing pretty okay, thank you. I actually feel really tired. I don't know what the deal was, but well, I think it was because nobody was home. Like so I was playing. Oh man, yesterday I'm playing Overwatch, and I don't know what it was, but it was just we came into this game, and all of the guys on my team just started joking around like right off the bat. So they really hit it off. And I'm usually pretty quiet, and I only say stuff when I need to. But so it was like a 6 stack. Like all 6 of the people after the game decided to stay as a team and continue on. And I think we played like 6 games or something like that. And we won 3 and lost 3. First 3 though, it was like amazing. It was like we just crushed everybody and everything went well. So I was like, well, I'm going to keep playing with these guys as long as they're still online. So I did that, and I wasn't paying attention. And when I got done, nobody was home. I'm like, okay, well, it's bedtime. I'm just going to go to sleep. Apparently they were out playing Pokemon Go, which maybe it's a good thing that I didn't get sucked back into that, because that game, I think it was such a great game, but they really turned it into pay to win. Like it's just not a very consumer friendly game. They really abuse their community, so I don't want to support it anymore. But they were out the park playing Pokemon Go, so they didn't come back until like late, and so I guess because of that I couldn't fall asleep. And then I didn't fall asleep until like 11:30 when I would like to go to sleep at like 10. So 90 minutes makes a big difference. And I can just kind of feel it in my body. It's just like I'm wide awake right now, but I would not mind going back to sleep. E-mini taking another little dip there? When I look at the bonds, it looks like the 10-year and the 30-year still want to buy, but the 5-year is having trouble. They keep selling this 27. Freight Train says, nah, it's cool. And if there's going to be a day that's going to be like a throwaway day, didn't really trade sort of a day, I'm okay with it being this one, because tomorrow we've got unemployment claims, and Friday. What do we have actually Friday? Do we have anything interesting on Friday? Oh, not really. Fed monetary policy report, final wholesale inventories. But not really. Then after that, we should get PPIs. Yep. Next Tuesday, CPI. PPI is on Wednesday. It's kind of more like what things used to be. And then retail sales on Friday. Okay, so it looks like the 5-year is maybe going to win here, because they dragged the 30-year down quite a bit there. And I'm seeing the News Squawks Forex live tweeting, the bond bid won't stop US 10's approach 1 spot 3. Oh, by the way, I don't have News Squawk going. You know what's something that really annoys me? Is that when I'm trading, I don't hear a whole lot come out of Financial Juice. But then when it's outside of my session, they give me all sorts of news headlines that I don't care about. So I'll be like watching a YouTube video, and then they'll come over to the Squawk, and I'm like, no, I don't care. I'm not trading anymore. And it's not like big news. Okay, so we do get a red book here in a minute. I'm glad I turned them back on. But look at that. They got dragged down hard. I feel like I'm missing something, like that I should be browsing somewhere and looking something up and talking about it, but I'm not sure what it is I could possibly be missing. Okay, so there's the red book. FX macro. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies didn't get much attention in Washington until recently. It was that same story from yesterday from the Wall Street Journal about Washington wanting to regulate Bitcoin. Have you installed the cooling system in your room yet? No. You know what? I adjusted my thermostat, which by the way, it hasn't been cooling today. Is it cooler outside today? It hasn't been as necessary? Let's go check the Nest here. But I just adjusted my schedule and everything, and it's been a lot better in here. So I haven't had to deal with it. So the whole, let's install an air conditioner in this room has kind of turned into, it's probably not necessary. So I should probably just save up and get one for the gym. I think if I do anything more for my setup in here, it'll be more room treatment and some curtains to block outside noise. If I could get something to cover up the door, and that would make the outside a lot quieter so that I could record at more times of the day, that would be really, really nice. I was thinking about it. Remember the other day we were drawing a picture of what would be your ideal. Have more money than I know what to do with, and so I'm building a house that is bigger than any person would ever reasonably want, sort of a thing. And I was saying there'd be an entryway, and then there should be like an office here, and there should be an office here. But now I'm thinking there should be wings. There should be, here's a door. This area of the house should be all of the bedrooms, right? And this area of the house would be the common areas. And then way over here would be all of the recording stuff. So that, or maybe even have the common areas, I don't know. Basically, I want everybody to be on the opposite side of the house from me. Maybe it would be multiple stories sort of a thing. Yeah. Maybe it'll be multiple stories, and bedrooms will be over here. Common areas will be over here. And then on the second floor, my office would be underneath of all of them. In the basement. There you go. Now, because if the kids are, let me tell you what, little girls are so effing noisy. I don't get, when I was a kid, I thought that girls tended to be more quiet. Where did I get that idea from? Because girls are so much more noisy than boys. So much more noisy. They do not shut up. And they are loud. They are very loud. If they are home, I can't record something because you're going to hear it. Basement is better. Yeah, probably right. Trolex plates, fantastic muffler. Wait, is that an actual thing? Wait. Okay, let's... I thought you were just being silly, but now I'm reading your comment, and that sounds like that's an actual thing. You're becoming sexist. All women make a lot of noise. They're more social. I think you're right. Oh, okay. Cement bonded wood wool panels. Trollodect acoustic ceiling and wall panels are made from certified wood, 100% natural material, and cement extracted from Danish mineral resources. The combination of wood and cement creates Trollodect's unique sound-absorbing properties, ensuring good acoustics in any room. The material has a natural resilience and can handle moist environments while also providing effective fire protection. The sustainability of the Trollodect acoustic panels is documented throughout the entire product lifestyle. Oh, that is really interesting stuff. It's like... I'll bring it over here. It's like this fibrous stuff. Wow. Buy now. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of tempting, but I bet you that it probably difficult to find. So when you go to their website, there's not like a buy now. They just tell you about their product range. So basically the way that this probably works is, if you're a construction company, you make deals with them and stuff like that. So if it's just me on my own trying to get it, it's a little bit harder. I'd have to talk to a sales guy and go through all this stuff. But that generally means that it's probably pretty expensive. Tommy says that he has it in his office. Is it like all of your walls are just made out of that, or did you get panels of it or something? I don't know. Like the thing is when I had them build this room, I was worried about the television in the other room. And so I had them put 2 layers of sheetrock on this wall over here. And it makes a big difference. No sound comes through that wall. But I have French doors too. Like I wanted to be able to open the room up. Well, that's been kind of dumb because the baby. I basically have to keep the office closed all the time because of the baby. But hopefully when the baby is older, I'll be able to just have those doors open all the time and get some more ventilation in there. But the problem is that the French doors do not block sound at all. So didn't think about that. Probably the right way to do it would be to have a regular door and have, well, not a regular door, have a door that's solid door, you know, like most doors are hollow, have a door that's completely solid and then get one of those room sealing kits and put it around the door, right? And block it off that way. So then it's like, how do you work that part out? Well, they do make like double sealed like sliding glass doors of sorts that are good for sound absorption, but now you're talking like $10,000, right? Which is it really worth $10,000? So that's why I say if I get something, it's probably curtains. Probably what I should do is I should get like sound absorbing curtains that go over the doors. Something like that. Really thick curtains that block the door. And that would probably keep out a lot of the sound. But every time I search for like soundproof curtains, I don't really find anything super great. And it's interesting that the top result is Amazon now. Residentialacoustics.com. They are ripping you off for $10,000 doors. Well, I don't think that I'm their target audience. I think that the target audience for that kind of a door is like an office, right? Yeah, like this is new. Soundproof curtains for all budgets. Felt and blackout fabric. Wow, these ones are really heavy compared to these ones. Nice Town was the ones that I was looking at that I saw before. Yep, Nice Towns. But the thing that's funny with these is that you look at it and they say, oh, $50, like let's do that. But then when you actually price out how big of a curtain you would need to cover my doors, it's a lot more. I think it came out to be like $500 or something. So I was like, maybe not. I saw these one curtains that were like, I don't remember what it was. They were actually relatively thin and had a very high absorption rating. But I don't recall what it was about them. I couldn't find them for selling, or it was just like a German company that had them. But, it hasn't been a real problem lately. And especially this microphone doesn't pick up nearly as much, so I kind of just stopped worrying about it. I should probably get some more absorption because I have like a panel over there in that corner. I don't have a panel in that corner. I should probably have a base trap over in that corner. But over in that corner, I have a filing cabinet. So what I would like to do is build my own base trap that attaches to the front of the filing cabinet. That would be great. And then put a base trap over in that corner and move that panel to above my head. And I'd have a pretty good setup then at that point. You can just buy 10 records depending on how big your office is. Think you can get my DIY market over with you? I should rephrase that. I didn't quite understand what you were saying, Tommy. The office isn't that big. I don't know. I mean, you can see most of it. Just like you can see a quarter of the room in the video image right here. So that gives you a pretty good idea of how big the room is. One of the things is that like I maybe even kind of regret is construction market. But I have like the paneling, the wood paneling is kind of a problem too. Like if I had not had the wood paneling, obviously it wouldn't look nearly as great. It looks great, but the wood paneling is harder to deal with. So, BlackRock has raised Japan stocks from underweight to neutral. Well, in the last 10 minutes or so, the Japanese yen is down, and the treasury is down with it, so. Beijing is planning to close a loophole that Chinese companies have used to list overseas, including in the US. I wish I understood better what is going on with companies in China, because it seems to me like every day I come in here, I'm reading some headline about how China is trying to punish their own companies and like prevent them from being able to make money in the United States. It's like, what? The Street retweets Peter Tuchman, who says, "Nice E-Trader technical analysis puts the odds in your favor." That sounds like bullshit. Oh boy. You think that the treasuries are just going to like rain down now after this? They're looking pretty aggressively bearish. Oh, it's a video. I would have to watch the video to see what he's talking about, so. Peter Baker, for the last year with all the working from home, many kids got to see what their parents do for a living up close. They haven't always been that impressed. It's just calls and typing and typing and typing. Yeah. Let's see here. There's a lot more BlackRock stuff in here. BlackRock Investment Institute turns neutral on U.S. stocks. Has reduced its overweight position in U.S. stocks. Cuts UK stocks to neutral from overweight. European stocks have been upgraded to overweight. Huh. Babylon Bee tweets, Congress upset as they're the only criminals allowed in the Capitol. Can you believe that that Washington, D.C. is like still shut down? Like you can't, it's not open still. because of the January 6th thing. It's been like 6 months. Nothing's happened. Why isn't it open again? Lots of people retweeting about this news from BlackRock Institute. Well, Tommy, when you were saying you can just buy 10 records, does that mean that like these this material that you were linking us to, you can buy it in like panels, like this big or something? This bond move is sick. Tweets efficient market hype. Oh, wow, okay. Maybe worth it. If I could find a place to buy it. See, they just didn't have anywhere on here. Place to buy online. You would think that, oh, I want to buy online something now. It would be, oh, look, here's a website that might have it. Troll attacked design panels, 21 pounds. The Treasury's still selling there. Aren't we glad that we didn't buy the high at 22? Should have faded that one. I'm really surprised that they came all the way back like this, though. For who knows? For all we know, if we were to sell the low here, it will do the same thing and go right back up to the highs. Maybe not, because most of that action that we saw going up has, like, the cumulative delta has reversed. So I don't think that we're getting like a reliable buy meta order coming in here. I think that this may just be trader positioning, and as such, we'd have to be really careful about where we take them. This website is in the UK. I wonder if they get in the US. You may want to glue them up with mounting glue. I mean, the thing is if I was going to get panels, I might as well just keep getting like the sheetrock ones. but not sheetrock ones, the ones that are insulation, like for insulation. Because I probably couldn't just do a whole wall, I had a pretty aggressive sell there, again, in the treasury. Yeah. Oh, really? I was looking at it and was like, well, maybe I could try pulling a tick out here. But I don't want to do it at 15.5. Look, there it goes through it so quick. And then they bought up through 16 and then flipped back down. I was like, oh. But now I'm thinking probably there's not enough volume right now. So it is getting a little warm in here now. Maybe it's just me. The thermostat says it's 69. Should note that this down move in the treasuries has coincided with some pretty significant downside momentum in the Japanese yen. So have hurricane weather, so windows open. There you go. Sure that if I had the door open, that's the annoying thing, is that the door doesn't let any air in, but it lets all the sound in. Another thing on the heat on the case. So one of the things I was wondering was like, okay, so how possible is it to create like a server case and then have an exhaust that just goes to the outside? Does that like help? Well, my understanding is that for a regular computer, probably not. But for Bitcoin mining, apparently generates so much heat that sort of thing is definitely like viable. And my dad recently got an ant miner. And so that's what he did, is he got an exhaust that goes out into the garage. He said that if he didn't have the exhaust, that it was like 80, 90 degrees in that room, which is nuts, all right? And oh my gosh, it is so loud. The fan on that thing is so loud. Like, you can't go anywhere in the basement and not hear that fan. Isn't that insane? I wonder if you can get a quieter fan for a... I'm sure if you can, my little brother will find it. All right, what you got here, HF? They've got their hands tied behind their back a bit, either by their bankers or by their investors who are not interested in hell for leather growth. They're interested in dividends and very conservative levels of production growth, says Fiona Bowl, head of commodities at S&P Dow Jones Indices. Let's see, I haven't seen much from Twitter here. Kind of died down. Like, there haven't been any tweets since the Black Rock stuff, so for like 15 minutes. Looks like they might just take 14.5 too. Prices of food and gas are particularly salient for many households and do have an outsized impact on short-run inflation expectations. But crucially, unlike in the 1970s, in recent decades, even extreme fluctuations in commodity prices have only small effects on longer-term inflation expectations, and we expect this to remain the case through the current commodity boom. Well, it is interesting that in the latest manufacturing reports that we've had, man, they took 14.5 and 14. That everybody is looking at the employment situation and saying, okay, like, that's not good for the employment. You know, they're just kind of reading the tea leaves on employment in those reports and making big conclusions. But then there are also increases in prices, and pretty significant increases in prices, and the market completely ignores it. Like, what's with that? The market does not care about inflation at the moment, even though there's a lot of data to suggest that it should. Like, even if the inflation is transitory, shouldn't it have an impact on certain asset classes, even just in the short term? But it seems like it's not. Okay, so something that I'm seeing going on in the 10-year, and this is one of the situations that I find the most frustrating, is that you don't necessarily get good order flow reads when we're moving down, right? They will often just plow through, and like there's a lot of pulling and stuff, and it just kind of falls on its own. So, I'm not seeing any kind of absorption or anything significant down here on the bottom to say that like it's going to pull back. But it could. But there wasn't anything to tell us that like they were going to really plunge through 16 as quickly as they did, right? Is that the reason equities are flying? Well, I think yes. I think that equities are doing relatively well because they're saying that the Federal Reserve is going to keep rates low for a long time because employment isn't improving that much. Look at that. Look at how strong of an offer that was. 13. So where does that put us relative to yesterday? Okay, so this is more retracing the overnight move more than anything so far. And pretty significant steepening on the 2 and 10. Oh, look at these big numbers down in here now. But I've seen this before, where it's like, you think, okay, this is it. They'll take the reversal. And then they pull 12.5 and 12 like out of nowhere. Well, it pulled. Might have been able to get a tick between 12.5 and 13, but it's questionable. Seems to be the volume to do it. Okay, there's bid at 13. Yeah. You read the order book more than me? You denigrate it all the time? Well, I think that you misunderstand when I'm talking about the order book, that you misread my comments as denigrating it. Like, the thing that you have to understand is that what I'm doing is I'm simply reading the current condition. The current condition doesn't necessarily predict what the next price movement is going to be. Like, what I'm trying to do here is I'm thinking there's a person that's going to come in and they haven't watched the stream before, and they're going to go, oh, this guy, he does technical analysis on order flow and it works really, really well. That's what I should do. All I have to do is just learn to read the order book and I'll be a successful trader, because that's what I was told, or that's what I kind of thought at one point. And what I learned was that it's way more complicated than that. So UK Prime Minister Johnson banking on August virus fall, says the Eve Standard. Data modeling due over coming days is hoped to confirm that a turning point in Britain's pandemic is likely to come this summer. Ministers believe the peak could be reached next month. Okay. Saudi Aramco intends to overtake over $10 billion worth of asset sales in the next few years. Whoa. Plans to sell $10 billion in assets. For why? There's could be something more interesting going on there. Oh man, okay, so this is another one. Financial Times, Microsoft Jedi reveals that the dark side of public sector customers. So Microsoft was doing well because they had a contract with the government, this Jedi thing. And then yesterday, the government revealed that they were like changing it or something. I was like, what? So they got creamed, and now like they're saying, oh, maybe Amazon is in the running for whatever they replace it with. It's kind of sketchy, right? And meanwhile, like Nancy Pelosi and her husband had all of these options on relevant companies, made tons of money off of this, like $1 million in options. What? Okay, so there's the open. Small buy. Nope. I got things set up for like small trades. Treasury looking like it's going to sell even more here. Now 12. When they start getting below 11 in the 10-year, then it starts getting back into yesterday's prices. Maybe it's just the sell. I don't know. So there was a pretty good buy volume on the open, but we're currently below the open. And that buy volume cumulative delta hasn't been washed out, but it was like less than 1,000. So how many losers in a row on the E-mini do you think we can get here? That was 2, right? Yep. 2, maybe 3. That's 3. Flip to buy. That's funny. You wouldn't think that it'd be that hard to get a fill there, but... Okay, well, the losing streak is over. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry, we have to win now. Probably for this market, 8 ticks is too constrained because of the volatility that we had yesterday. We're likely to get more. Oh, look, they dug down again, and now we're at 11. I keep looking over here and thinking like something's, but it's because there's this huge order down at 07. So it kind of is making the 10-year liquidity look like it's lighter than it normally is. But they're stacking 3s on there. Netherlands reports 3,688 new coronavirus cases, an increase of 482% compared to last week. Wow. Okay, well, now they're breaking highs. It's kind of churny and slow as she goes, though. We are getting some autocorrelation starting to come into play here. Treasury has reverted back a little bit. Bill O'Reilly says, big interview with Donald Trump coming your way. Oh, tape it in today in Jersey. We'll broadcast it tomorrow. Well, that should be interesting. That should be interesting, shouldn't it? Do you think Donald Trump is going to run again? I remember there was somebody asked him in an interview, like, have you made your decision about if you're going to run again? And he said, I think I have. And it kind of suggested that he was going to run again. But I'm still like sitting here like, I don't think he should run again. I don't think that would work out for him or the party. And I'm skeptical that he'll do it. I still think that like he should start a news network Start a news network, hire Bill to be on your news network. There'd be money in it. Tommy says there's a stop run in the DAX. Well, given that BlackRock says that we should be overweight European equities now, or was it a stop run to the downside? I'm assuming it's to the upside because everything's moving up right now. Well, I'd say pretty solid agreement on prices here. I'm wondering where the E-mini could be going here. Could we just see new all-time highs today? Is that really realistic possibility? Let's come and look. Okay, so we're starting at 43.31. Oh, okay, so like all-time high is around 47. So that appears to be the resistance. Oh, yeah. Well, I would say that volume through here has been pretty encouraging. Could we see a new all-time high? I think so. And then the first target would be in the 60s. Hey, Win, there you are. Are you doing okay over there? Well, he was just telling us earlier that, you know, he was having a hurricane and so he had the window open. I'm a little jealous. It needs to rain more over here in Utah. You know, what's interesting is that we've had some rainstorms that were pretty okay, but it's still apparently dire straits for everybody in the West. Okay, so they bounced off of 11. You know, it's interesting because I am seeing spots in the treasuries. Even on the downside, I did see a spot, where was it? It was like 12? Yeah, I remember seeing there at 12, there was some significant absorption. They moved up, and then they very quickly fell back down through again. And then it did that in a couple of other spots. So it's kind of like, what about that 11 would make it bounce up as hard as it has? I don't know. I don't see anything to tell me that. So I'm probably still in the let's try and pick up ticks here and there. I don't know. Good morning, bots. How are you? Oh, and there's Ace. See, I was just thinking, I was like, I need Ace to tell us, is this going to continue up? Should we take it? Should we just take it off? Would first target for ESB 43.50 for the new all-time high test, assuming they can test or break the current all-time high? Well, I'm just looking at the VIX targets are like in the 60s. But you're right. Like 40, I was reading it. I'm not exact. I didn't do it exact, but it looked to me like Friday's high was around 43, 47. So we could round it to 43.50. That could be a test. I think so. Or at least we could look at it that way. A says he's long at 45. Oh, really? Oh, I thought you'd be in a lot lower than that, but that's okay. Or did you wake up late? No, I don't know. It was kind of splitting hairs at that point, right? I think it looks to me like the S&P 500 is looking bullish again, and that they're going to try and push for all-time highs, and that if we get a strong move, given off how negative it was yesterday, if we get a strong move, we could move up into the first fixed target, which would be around 43.60. Forgot to record this open. I'm having a hard time here in the E-mini. That stopped me out. Yeah. Yeah, Ace 2. Notice how hard the treasuries have come back here. I'm trying to sort out here. Well, okay, that move there at 16, that was unusual. What was that? I'm not seeing anything weird go on in the dollar. Should have taken your point. Well, I am 4 losers and 2 winners on yes with 8 tick risk. It seems that the ability to like ride the wave right now is a little hard here. See if they do anything if they come back to like this midpoint area. Maybe they don't even go that far. Felt like we got smacked out really hard, but it retraced just as quickly. The treasury continues to melt up. Does offset stop limit by 2 Ninja Trader mean I always get 2 executed 2 prices worse off? We would have to go read the documentation because I don't recall. I didn't use that very often. I think you're correct that like it'll put the stop and it'll have a limit order in at a certain price, but that basically means like I'm only willing to accept two ticks of slippage. I don't know. Like that, the use case for that doesn't make much sense to me, you know? Bot says shook out the weak hands, probably. You can just say they shook out the Seth hands, because that's should I extend these? I mean, if it's gonna go to 50 and then I want to be up there, so that's the one to just go read the Ninja Trader documentation. I bet you bots knows, but Trump to sue Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey. He will be announcing class action lawsuits today. Oh, really? Remember when Donald Trump was saying don't expect some moves on social media, and everybody thought that he was going to announce his own social media network? No. Apparently, the news was that he is going to sue the major social media guys. Trading Floor Audio tweets it. Oh, it's on. Is this affecting the shares of Facebook and Twitter? I'm going to guess probably not. Remember when Trump was relevant? It's kind of funny how they continue talking about him even though he really isn't relevant right now, isn't it? I like the thing that continues to weird me out is how nobody wants to talk about Joe Biden. Like, there's plenty of things to say about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and everybody kind of just doesn't care. Okay, so let's bring this over here. And FB today, just today. Oh, Facebook's getting hammered. We have 5 minutes here. Let's do 1 minute. Okay, so I don't know when that sounds like that came out 8 minutes ago. 9:37. That is about the time that it went. Okay. So I'm going to scratch that. Moscow Mitch likes talking about Joe Biden? Wow. Okay, what was the last thing that Moscow Mitch said about Joe? I don't recall. He certainly has said some things, but I don't really recall what the last thing he said was. Actually, last thing I remember thinking about in politics was we need to get an infrastructure deal, and the negotiations between Joe and Congress broke down. And then they were going to, like, other senators were coming up and putting together a proposal. And I haven't heard anything. What happened? What's this? Jeff Roberts is tweeting. One possible tool using the Financial Stability Oversight Council, a panel of top regulators headed by Ms. Yellen, to target crypto assets such as cash-backed stablecoins, which some regulators have said could become a source of systemic risk, according to people familiar with the discussion. Such a move would allow regulators to write rules governing those activities and give authority to the Fed over stablecoins. Yeah. Dude. That would make me very happy, but you realize how pissed off the cryptocurrency community would be if that happened. Okay, so it's turning down here now. It is. So I think I made the right call there. Let's just change this over to Twitter for a second. Yeah, Twitter's down too. But what if we do Apple? Apple's up. Okay, so the S&P 500 appears to be on the downturn because Twitter and Facebook are going to get lawsuits from Donald Trump. I would not expect a lawsuit from Donald Trump to really have a significant impact on those companies' earnings, but I would expect the market to react to it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of a hard call, like, how bearish should it get? Lol suits, yeah, I don't know. Like, this sounds like something where, well, let's wait. It hasn't been released yet. Later today, we'll find out what this suit actually is claiming, right? But this kind of sounds like something that, you know, maybe even gets thrown out in court. Like, I don't know if it's... I don't know. I'm much more interested in talking about if the Federal Reserve took over regulation of stablecoins. Yeah, anyone can sue anyone for anything. No biggie. Trump's record in court is worse than his record in the bedroom. The beautiful thing about the U.S. legal system is that you can sue anybody for anything. It's true. It's true. So, but until we see the actual legal argument, like I'm going to defer until the legal argument is out, and maybe I've heard from a lawyer like Dershowitz. So it wouldn't be surprised to see Dershowitz come out and say like, this is a bad move. It's not going to work. Have you ever sued anyone? I've tried. But the court couldn't find him to summon him. So I gave up. Maybe I gave up too easily, but I gave up. Wasn't going to get my money back anyways. My wife's mother tried to... What? Really? Oh, I'm so sorry. I would not be surprised if this drags down the index, man. Looks like Facebook is trying to bounce here, though. She didn't like the fact that she couldn't steal 2.5 million. Wow. That's what? In breaking news, the Haitian. Oh, yes, I saw that yesterday. I don't know if that was kind of weird, but that one kind of seemed like really out of the blue. Not sure what to make of that one. What's Bitfinex saying now? Great. Then there should be no issues disclosing the investment grade assets. Are loaning funds to cryptocurrency traders considered investment grade by Circle? Oh, yeah. Service offered through Circle, Bermuda. Yeah, okay. He's still complaining about stablecoins. Anyways, what was I? I was saying. So the other day, Dershowitz opined on the lawsuit, not the lawsuit, the charges against the Trump organization for like tax evasion and everything else like that. And his answer actually surprised me. So I don't know. A lot of people seem to be treating Dershowitz like a partisan Donald Trump sympathizer. The liberals all think it's because he has, he's a child molester with Jeffrey Epstein and everything, which is ridiculous. But I think he's pretty independent. He's still a Democrat. I think he gives a real legal analysis. And his analysis on the New York case was that the New York Attorney General was like way overstepping its bounds. Like, how do you prosecute somebody for federal tax evasion when the IRS isn't even getting involved? How do you do that? And I was like, oh, like that's a really good point. And it goes back to what I said initially, which was that even though it looks like it's a serious investigation, the charges that are being levied aren't that significant. This is something that like you get a plea deal and you probably don't even serve jail time for. And it looks like they're just kind of trying to squeeze a guy to get him to give bigger goods on Donald Trump. And probably he would be more than willing to offer that if it would like let him off the hook, but it's not happening. So they're prosecuting him. So that was kind of my take on it. But now Dershowitz is saying that like the entire basis of the case might be so unsound that it could just get thrown out of court. That's kind of interesting, right? So I'm interested to see what he'll say about whatever lawsuits Donald Trump is throwing against Facebook and Twitter. Because I suspect that what he is going to sue them for is going to be on very sketchy legal ground. Right? Yeah, the Trump organization paid for apartments, cars, and compensation for private schools instead of paying real money that could be traced. Trump kept 2 sets of basically they were paying the guy that was running everything. Like the organization was paying for his housing instead of paying him a salary, because then the salary would get taxed, and so it was kind of like tax evasion. This is something that's actually a lot more common than you would think, though. Like that's what I'm saying, that like in terms of severity, it's not really all that high. So yeah, I don't know. Seeing people root for the IRS is gross. Well, the thing that bothers me is that it seems to me like our federal enforcement agencies do not have enough money to pursue the crime that is actually happening out there. But on the other hand, I'm also feel that there's a little bit too much focus on are the rich paying their share of taxes, and less on, is the securities fraud going on out there? Is the entire cryptocurrency market based on fraud? Like those are the things that I think they should really be putting their money into right now, So the Bitcoin thing kind of bothers me. Granted, it doesn't appear to be as such a significant deal now, after Elon Musk basically lost his hold on the cryptocurrency market. But there was a time when Tesla and Bitcoin were very highly correlated, and Tesla is a significant part of the market cap now as well. So if Tesla were to fall apart, and I think that it is vulnerable, I think that its evaluation is probably still very high, and if it were to start a fall because of a collapse in cryptocurrencies, then that momentum could continue and cause some real havoc, right? So at that point, is there systemic risk? There is a possibility of systemic risk where Bitcoin could have knockoff effects on the rest of the market. And here you're basically letting them print dollars and nobody's questioning it or even verifying that they actually have the money that they claim they do. How do people not see a problem with that, But apparently this past week, the people in the government said, hey, actually, maybe we should look at this. So maybe in 5 years from now, they'll do something. It's interesting, when we're older, 20 years from now, and we're talking to our grandchildren or whatever, and they're going to say, what was it like to live during the golden age of scams? Because that's like, I feel like that's what this year has been. 2021 has been like the year of the scam artist, man. Well, the downside on the E-mini has been limited, but they have not been able to dig themselves out of the hole and get back up to 43, 47 yet either. The treasuries have retraced that entire down move almost, and we're back to the 20 area where we were initially kind of interested. I guess when we were up at 20 before, we should have just sold it, right? But now we have the possibility of the treasury going all the way back up to the highs again. And I have no clue what it's going to do. Baby Asher and Miss Baby Asher had twins. Congratulations. Wait, here comes number 3. Yeah, I hope so. I really hope that Asher does not have as much trouble getting a kid as I had. But that's probably going to become an issue for young people more and more going forward. So who knows? Who knows? I was talking about this we were arguing about this with my wife in front of the kids the other day. Just kind of a friendly political debate, but so because it was about divorce. Because you understand that my wife's divorce was not pleasant because he wanted division of the assets that wasn't very fair, and then he was able to lie about us. You get away with a couple of things, like claiming that his income was less than it really was, and making the house be evaluated for a much higher price than what it was really worth on the market, and things like that. So she kind of feels like she got screwed in the divorce. And I was saying to her, like, I'm pretty sure we could go and look up some studies, but I'm pretty sure that your experience is not the experience of the majority of people. that by and large, women tend to benefit the most from the divorce. Of course, everybody loses in a divorce, but when you child support and everything else, women usually tend to get the better side of the deal. And I'm very much noticing a lot of people, I'm not saying that they're right or anything like that, I'm just noticing that I'm seeing it online a lot more and more of guys saying, well, it's not worth having kids or trying to get married because it's too risky. And this concerns me. Like, this concerns me that this could be an issue that my kids have to deal with. That even if my kids don't have problems finding a suitable partner that, you know, has a good division of labor and everything, that, you know, there'll be less kids overall, and there'll be economic impacts from that and everything else like that. It's like something has to be done. And the problem is that, like, what do you do? Well, the only thing that I know it would be you'd have to make it so that there's less incentive to get divorced, that, you know, you don't get so much of somebody's income from getting divorced. And of course, she didn't agree with that. But what do you do? Like, there doesn't seem like there's a real answer, is there? So yeah, I've been thinking more and more these days about the issues that my children are going to have to deal with and how I'm going to what I need to do to prepare them for it. It's illegal to touch another person without permission right now. What are your vitamin D levels like? Well, I get blood tested fairly regularly, although it hasn't been as much lately. I forget, when is my gastro appointment? 2 weeks. Then they'll take my blood. But I think one time they said that my vitamin D was low, but generally speaking, I'm pretty good. And I've been outside quite a bit lately. That child, the baby, just likes being outside. If you go outside without him, he gets really mad. If you just like go outside and then come back inside, he will start crying. It's just an absolute, yeah. So we've been outside a lot more, even though it's like brutally hot. But he doesn't care. Calm your sophistry and don't report me to the secret police. Too late in a season. I'm not quite sure if I have a trade here. So I'm getting into this mode where it's like it's moving, and so I feel like that I should be able to get something out, but I don't necessarily have a fundamental reason to believe that I could make a good call on direction in this particular location. So we're looking at the 20, and I was kind of identifying that as a key inflection point, but I was also saying, are we going to go back up to the high of the day? It's possible. And even here, it's still possible that we go up to the high of the day, but it's also possible that the Treasury falls all the way back down again. I mean, the volume flow still appears to be somewhat negative in the Treasury. What about the effect of heat on sperm count? I mean, this is a really weird issue that I think most people are aware of, but we don't talk about very often. But I think in the coming years, it's going to become a bigger and bigger deal that male fertility and male testosterone rates are decreasing. And it is going to have economic effects too. It's a really weird, you know. You notice I'm really interested in like societal level problems, and I believe that this is going to become a society level problem that's going to like jump to the top of the heap really, really soon. But I doubt that it's solely that guys are just not keeping their balls cool enough, you know? It's probably plastics are related as well. No, you say that, but it was yeah, there's all sorts of weird problems that go into it, Ace. Took us what, a good 2 years? Took us a good 2 years to have a kid finally. We were thinking like we were starting to prepare for like we're gonna have to do in vitro or something. Oh no, Uzi. There are apparently all sorts of things that you can buy for this. There's like underwear that you can put like these cooling packs in and stuff. But to me, I view it as a significant enough issue that when my wife was buying stuff for the baby, I insisted that none of his bottles or things that he drank out of were made out of plastic. All of his bottles are glass, and his sippy cups are tin or aluminum. He has aluminum sippy cups. And then I think that the tops of those are like silicone, which I think is fine, but no plastic. Aluminum, what could possibly go wrong? It's fine. Everybody has those metal bottles these days. You joking about it, Uzi, but like when I was going through this, there are products I considered buying them. I went through this whole thing. I think in the end for us, it turned out that we just needed to time things a little bit earlier than we were. But Yeah, I was all studying about everything that there was to know about that. Someone someday will say that, It's already there. My niece had leukemia as a child and is still in studies, which is how she was able to have her children. She won't touch aluminum. I should ask her why. Yeah. I'm actually not 100% sure what those cups are made out of. I just kind of assumed that they were aluminum because they're metal and they're fairly light. But it's probably some other kind of alloy, right? But I think either way, whatever you would get out of a metal is going to be better than what you would get from the BPAs from plastics. Hello, the planet's trying to kill you. Welcome to Earth. Well, and the thing is that so did you see this study? It was like 2 weeks ago. They were looking at women's cosmetics, and they found that like 80% of women's cosmetics contained chemicals that have been identified as problematic chemicals that stay in your body for a very, very long time and are negative. Was like, whoa. Like, and a lot of these problems didn't develop until modern times. I think that plastic pollution is a really good suspect, So that's and what I had read about BPAs and everything was that even though a lot of plastics are, certified that they don't leach BPA and all of that, they did a study and they found that even the ones that were supposedly certified about all of that stuff still had levels. They still had it, and then they also showed that it required a lot less of it than we thought to have an effect. So when I saw that, I moved everything to glass, and I only drink out of glass. So that's probably just being paranoid. Like, that's not like super scientific and everything, but it's not like crazy either. It's not out of nowhere. There's a lot of good reasons to think that it could be a problem. How about the medication? Yeah, I take a lot of medications, but take 2 Vygots and call me in the morning. Oh, the E-mini finally. So the E-mini took a little dip. They came back, but they're still like at the open areas. So I don't know if they're actually going to turn bullish here. We are seeing some extension of the dollar higher. They're now above 92.60. 6J looks like it's struggling a little bit. Oil still looks dismal. Is that correct data on an oil? Yeah, it's 72.45. Just think of all those delicious stops that are waiting to be triggered below the March low in the Euro USD. So now that we're back up to the 133.20 area, we're kind of starting to see similar order flow to what we saw before, where the 30-year looks like it wants to continue pushing up. The 10-year is holding its bid fairly well, but the 5-year, the bid continues to be weak and they keep selling into it. Finally, 2 points. Oh, you got 2 points, huh? You took a lot more scratches than I did. Will Giuliani be representing Trump in the Facebook Twitter? That is a good question. Oh my god, it is an owl pundit on Twitter. That is actually a good question. Who will be representing Donald Trump in this lawsuit? Well, oh, look at that. Strong cell. 19. A little bit of spillover too. YouTube search algorithm directs viewers to false videos. Say finds more than 70% of videos flagged by study participants as objectionable were recommended by YouTube. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. And the least bit. I think that YouTube has a lot of culpability for some of the social media problems that we have these days, that they really need to adjust their algorithm to not just recommend what creates the most engagement, but that what is good for people. Now, that doesn't mean that they should like throttle videos based on political views or whether or not that's true or false, but they prioritize controversy, and it shouldn't. Okay, so that was a pretty good take there. Still being a little flaky though. You can see in the 5 year, there's pretty good iceberg at 27.25. And TikTok is basically a haven for what is as close to child porn as you can get. Well, so on TikTok, so here's the thing. The algorithm prioritizes what generates engagement. So if people watch the whole video, then it's much more likely to recommend that to everybody. And if you're a pretty girl, doesn't matter what you're doing, people will tend to watch the whole video. And so those videos do really, really well on TikTok. And one of the knockoff effects of that has been that there are girls on TikTok that are under 18 and making videos like this. And it's a really difficult thing because, like, where do you say that there's like a line and stuff like that, you know? Because apparently if you make a video and you're like in straight up lingerie, then they'll take that down. But like if you're in a swimming suit, it's okay. If you are in like a certain cosplay that's just really immodest, that seems to be okay, although within reason. And so I believe, I don't ever see this, but I believe there have been instances where there were girls that were still in high school that were getting popular and were posting things on TikTok that seemed like that was way too sexualized to be allowed, right? But and it does send me a lot of videos with girls, but I believe that they're all 18. I guess there's maybe a possibility that some of them are younger than that. I don't check, but maybe I'll go and look at that. Next time I come across one, I will look and see if they put their age in their profile or something. But so I'm not sure if I would say it's accurate to say that like TikTok is like as close to child porn as you can get or anything like that. Okay, especially since we're talking about like 17-year-olds. But what is true is that it appears that TikTok and the culture in general is like grooming women to become virtual sex workers. And this is a problem, I think. This is a significant culture. Why is it doesn't go anywhere, and then when I finally decide to try and take one, now all of a sudden, oh, okay, 3 ticks up. Crap. Like the flow completely changed too. But yeah, I'll let you stumble across a TikTok of your 14-year-old doing the Bugs Bunny challenge and watched how fast you should. I've seen videos of that, but not of anybody that I thought was in high school. Good grief. I'm just going to stay in it and watch them go up to the highs because I want them to go up to the highs. And I feel like they're doing it because I went short. It's a bad trade. And also, I didn't have a stop set, did I? So it should have been out at 1. Also, my algorithm hasn't taken any trades today. Again. Looking at things, though, that's correct, though. It shouldn't have taken any trades. Oh, no, wait. It probably could have. Except for that one, it was wrong. Yeah, okay. There's only one place where it could have possibly have taken a long trade, and the filters filtered it out. So where do we think that this new bid in the treasuries are coming from? I have TikTok, but I don't even want to know. Well, so one of the issues with TikTok is that it doesn't really show you. It's really difficult to get a really clear idea of what is popular on TikTok. Like, there's the For You page, which everybody sees. There's like the top videos that everybody sees. That's if you went to TikTok.com and visiting your web browser, those are the videos that they're showing. But it like figures stuff out about you. It's a little scary how the algorithm seems to pick up on things. Because there was I've seen a bunch of cases where people were saying, oh, TikTok, all of a sudden TikTok started sharing information with me about this disease that I don't have. But then I started thinking, oh, actually, those are things that I seem to deal with. So then they go to a doctor and it turns out that they had that disease, right? So it's like the algorithm knows things about people that they don't know themselves. Right? Yeah. Like it knew that they had it before they knew. No, it's not aliens. It's just machine learning picking up on something really weird based off of how they react to videos. Some people say that there's the conspiracy in TikTok. The conspiracy theory in TikTok is that the application uses the microphone and the camera to watch how you react to the videos and factors that into the algorithm. That's the big conspiracy theory with TikTok. And you know what? It's possible because the app does use all those permissions. But I digress. So it will figure out, and in particular, like the first one of when you start doing it, you will see it. It almost like tests you. Like the video will come in and will show you a couple of different videos to like A/B test you. It seems like, or at least that's what I feel like is happening. That's what I suspect is happening. And so it will. The first thing that it will try to do is try and figure out like what you like in the opposite sex or whatever. Like what your sexual interests are. It goes for that immediately. Because on my TikTok, it very frequently will show me videos that are just pretty girls' voice syncing to things. And on my wife's TikTok, it will very often show her guys chopping wood and things like that. has coincidence. I would say I've seen enough incidents like this that it's not just a coincidence that the algorithm was a very impressive. You just if you just start using it, you'll see it. Like it figures things out. Like the thing that's funny is that it will know that you're interested in something that you've never heard of before. Like all of a sudden it'll just start sending you tons of videos about this one thing. And, you know, like it will send it to you one time and then you watch that video and then it starts sending you more and more. And so like you develop new interests that you didn't even know were a thing. It's crazy. It's really weird. I'm mad at myself about that last trade. Did I ever get anything even close to like... No. The trading overall for me today has been terrible. That first one that I took, that first treasury trade, was like exactly the sort of trade that I would want to take on the one tick scalp. That second one was probably bad. Like I was in it for a good 5 minutes. So and there gave me a couple of opportunities to get out too. So I'm a little surprised that it didn't give me 18.5, but surely when 19.5 went bid, I should have gotten out. But it was also kind of an example of where I'm not sure if this trade is truly viable in the long run, because that stacked and there was no chance to get back into it. So I would have had to stop out at 2. That's a problem, right? Ace says should be. Oh, you know, I didn't even notice that they dropped them back down there, huh? Okay, well. Shoot. Chasing. We are. So one of the things that I am seeing here as this is playing out is that there are some significant moves happening in the currencies. So like the euro is like sitting at like key levels, like below 1.18000. There might be some stop runs, but it's not only that, it's like the 60 and the pounder are kind of all falling apart at the same time. I'm also seeing some bearishness in gold right now, and oil is looking really poor. And I want to come over here and look on Twitter. Like 17 minutes ago, News Squawk said the more crude falls, the more the lack of job owning becomes more interesting. Wouldn't be surprised to hear from KSA either directly or vice versa at some point. So I don't understand enough about oil to really understand the interplay there. But like, this is kind of what we see be going on right now. The fuck was that, bro? Wait, what did I do? When you went clickety, I know. Well, I was trying to hit into it as it went, and it was too fast. Yeah. It's not unusual for me to do in the E-mini, though. Like, that's one of those... That's where I feel like I start to get into bad habits. Because on that one, I was willing to take like 3 of them, right? But really, I should only be doing 2. Taking a little bit of risk at the very beginning and then getting a quick target and stuff. Yeah. It's really frustrating when I have to say that like the sort of things that I often, well, that as she goes trade in particular, I seem to catch it sometimes in the E-mini. Like I seem to see the spot where like it's going, but like I can never catch it. I can never just be hitting into it with a market order. It always goes too quickly. I don't know. I've been wondering because it didn't do too great in the E-mini. I mean, it looks like here with this trade, assuming that I take it, I take 20 out of it, that will wipe out my losses on the E-mini from earlier. I'll still be down because of the bad trade that I took in the 10-year, which I took a wider stop than I should have. But as of late, I don't think that my hit rate in the E-mini has been super great. Like last Thursday, Friday, it wasn't very good, right? And today I had like 3 losers in a row and then 2 winners and then a loser, So it's been more difficult trading for me. I don't feel terribly confident in it right now. And then I start doing things like that where it's like, okay, so let's take 2. And then it works out. It's like, okay. I'm just learning bad habits. So the treasuries did get all the way back to the highs again, huh? I can think of 1 or 2 times when I saw the treasuries trace the whole range of the day twice. It was in fact in the situations that I can think of, it was like exactly this kind of context where it was like the day after a big move. But I remember there was one in particular very, very early on in my career. I think it might be recorded that I caught the tops and bottoms on it like 3 or 4 times. But thinking back on the order flow at those key locations, the treasuries weren't really giving me those kinds of signals at those locations. So it's different in that respect. The fall in the E-mini must be driven by different assets because Facebook has recovered its losses and is doing okay. When I come in, we look at our quote board here, like the ones that are doing poorly. Well, MSTR is down a little bit, and PLTR, of course, that's a different issue because they've got that lawsuit or whatever going on, right? But like Goldman Sachs is down 2%. That's pretty big for Goldman. REMF is down 2%. Is that one's pretty volatile, but it is down. So it seems to me that because the interest rate is lowering, that the big techs are still doing okay, but that it must be the rest of the index pulling us down right now. Try one right here might give me a good opportunity. Well, the way that the excursion went on that, it wasn't particularly great. They do hit back, but they don't clear in 21 half pulse. Yeah. So it's kind of the same problem. I'm going to get out here. Oops, I clicked too many times. So am I actually seeing something, or is it like messing with me in particular? Hmm? Well, I am kind of trying to buy near the highs, so. Ole S. Hansen, I don't know who that is, but they say crude oil market clearly getting spooked by the risk of the UAE going solo in order to sell as much crude as possible. Brent back below its 21-day SMA with the next levels to watch being 72 and 70. Okay, well, geez. Tried martingaling it, but I just don't think I'm going to get one over there. In fact, they're all kind of in line now, like saying that we're all going to go down, so. Nope, absorption. Well, how many times do you think I could get it wrong today? That might just be a series of outliers, but 4 in a row there, all were bad. Probably shouldn't be trading in this location. I don't know why. What interests me in this location? Well, the E-mini just looks really bearish. I think as part of it. Well, let's try something else here. Yeah, there's the E-mini still going. Are you still short, Ace? Or no, you took your profits, didn't you? No, you still have one short. Okay. So at the moment, it still looks to me like the E-mini is very much short. But it's interesting that so like yesterday, the decline from the top was from like 0 to -20, right? And now we're from -10 to -20. So it's about half of the volatility, half of the cumulative delta of yesterday, but it's seeming to start to accelerate, isn't it? Like there could be some more downside here, and but I'm not really sure like how far I should try and let it run. 43.36. Oh, really? Well, you got a little bit better of an order than me. So, like, I'm not too sure, because this would be just based off of how much I made, one potential spot for me to take profits. But look at the way it's moving. This is Mom. I don't know about money. A little walking around money. Some rainy day money. Doesn't. There's finally the bid that I was looking for in the treasury, but. Ooh. Let's see here. How much? At what point do I start to be like, this is too much? Probably I need to open this up. You okay? They're pushing hard. What do you use to identify if it's too much? I don't know. Well, one thing that I do very much utilize is that VIX volatility targets. But one of the targets was 43.20. So are we going to go to target number 2? Yesterday they kind of came just short of it. Target number 2 would be below 4,300. So there's a little bit of backwash there too. Like one of the things that I'm going to be looking for is like significant absorption in a range, or like a hole in liquidity. Facebook is almost back to its lows of the day, by the way. Tokyo to declare a state of emergency. The timing casts further doubt that the Olympics will be able to host any spectators. Hosting an Olympics is expensive, and if they do that and then they can't have anybody watch it, that's going to be a disaster. Significant absorption. So if I saw like 15,000 contracts absorb across, like a whole handle within a 30-minute period, that tends to be significant absorption that has a pretty high probability of reversing. It hasn't been doing that lately though, so I don't know. Is it so like on that one? Is Ace still short? They're pretty good retracement there, wasn't it? He's still short, but it's making him nervous. You know, see, I don't know. Like, I don't know what his threshold is. So it's kind of, guess says I got very lucky. Well, but we were saying 20 is like a spot. So it's actually really unusual for it to just straight off bounce off of that level. Usually they go through and there's a lot of stops and kind of work things out. And then maybe they pick up the dust and pick up the pieces and move up. So to bounce right there at that, a little unusual. And look, the treasury came back. Like they were elevated for like 2 ticks when the E-mini was going down, but it didn't result in very much demand from them. And I am seeing the dollar, the euro bounced off of that spot 1.8. So that might be some of what's going on here. Is there might be some mean reversion coming into the dollar now. And this treasury trade here, I was saying, you know, like, okay, can I get 4 ticks? Well, it's almost gone 4 ticks against me. So that was just kind of like an intuition, but obviously wrong again. You would think that it would just be random, but it seems like it's not random. It seems like it's very much against me for some reason. Okay, so there's just a little bit of selling kind of come back in there. So it started to get a little aggressive selling there, but they stemmed the losses for now. I still see a little bit of aggressive order flow selling, but yeah, it looks like the buyers are digging it out again. So he's agreeing with envy. Well, we held on to something like through a pretty big excursion now. Like I'm still like could go lower. I don't know. Like I didn't see anything down in here that straight up told me that it would do this. I don't really see anything that straight up tells me that it's going to continue going up or continue going down. It's not telling me very much today, man. And given that we don't have like fundamental news for me to going off of, I'm really just taking shots in the dark. A JP Morgan trader wins his employment suit after a London judge ruled that he didn't engage in spoofing. Huh. Can someone explain to me why they call state-run cryptocurrencies CBDCs? Like, why do you need a complicated, acronym for it? Mm-hmm. I don't know what that a judge would recognize spoofing if I walked up to him wearing a spoofing t-shirt. Okay, so the treasury's just careened down there, man. Ugh. These weren't all just the same way, were they? Buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. Yeah, no. I'm just like exactly the opposite of every move. That's all. So, like, how do you... I'm not really sure if I'm really trading off of any kind of edge here in the treasury. I feel like I'm taking shots in the dark. But how am I able to lose that many times in a row? That doesn't make much sense, does it? So announce your trades and we'll go the opposite. I'm starting to wonder. Here's the thing, is the way that it's trading too, there's not a ton of volume. Like, if somebody wanted to pull and make some of these moves happen, they probably could. But it kind of makes you wonder, the whole move down and then all the way back up in the treasury, like what was the cause of that? Was it the market makers just screwing around with everybody? So, it doesn't even have to necessarily be against me in particular. It could just be really targeting certain types of traders, and it just happens to be catching me really well or something, But it certainly is behaving in a way that suggests to me that it's not just random, right? So when this happens, I feel like, what am I doing wrong? I'm much better at making videos telling people not to move their stuffs than I am at not moving their stuffs. Well, you see, like, what I'll do is when I get to a certain point where I realize things aren't working, I'll switch it up. And I'll start doing dumb things. So that stopped him out. Well, I don't particularly care. I don't know what I'll do with it. But I'm fed up. Fed up. So today we're going to say I want to say that it was a choppy market with long swings because this would be a good video to go back and try and look at order flow like that in the future. So how do I say that? I don't know what to say. I'm so like, what should I put in the title? You also notice that these days when I'm saying like I'm really unhappy with my performance, that I'm also not feeling good, like I'm kind of tired. I feel stressed out. No trading context, trading plan. I don't think that I did. Well, you notice I came in today, I didn't trade my serious accounts. So like I did kind of come in saying like I should be a little careful about how much risk I can take. But then you can also see where I don't think that you could sit down and say, oh, well, like you straight up made a mistake because I was just screwing around on the other account. But this is the kind of situation that I'm concerned about, right? Where I'm afraid that I will do dumb things. So, and it really is. It's like there's not necessarily a very good reason to be trading. I don't really have a solid plan. I think that I might be seeing some short-term signals from technicals, from order flow, but then they don't work out. So when it comes to the serious trades, it's really turning into like, unless I have significant news and I really know which way it's going, I can't justify the risk. Okay. Choppy day with large swings. It's the worst title ever, but I'm going with it. I got to get going. So